Guys, there is a serious injury problem at Manchester United, and it's high time we spoke about it in detail. Now, the latest is that Aaron Wan-Bissaka is said to be out for at least 2 months because of a hamstring injury he sustained during that 3-1 loss to Brighton at Old Trafford. Now, he came on as a substitute, played a few minutes of the game, but he got injured in those. What does it show? Remember, he joins a long list of injured players from Rafael Varane and Mason Mount, who are expected to be fit in just a few days, according to the manager, but they are still injured. We are not yet sure when they will be 100% fit to play again. Alessandro Martinez is in and out. Sofian Amrabat is sick. Rasmus Højlund arrived sick. According to Erik ten Hag, the reason he substituted him is because he feels he's not ready to play a full 90 minutes, meaning his lower back injury that he had, that saw him out of the first 4 games for Manchester United, maybe could still be on. So guys, think about Tyrell Malaysia, Kobe Maino. Of course, we saw what happened to him. But so many of our players are injured now, and I know in football this happens that a phase reaches where many of your important players will be injured. But you think about United injuries, and you're thinking behind this, what is happening? I mean, is of course people will talk over us being a cursed club because of the number of injuries. But for me, and I think this makes me think about what we saw earlier when it was reported that Manchester United had poached the head doctor at Arsenal to join us, I think, starting next year. Probably because our medical team was probably sleeping on the job. Because, I mean, you think about the players we've signed in the past seasons, and many of these players came with injuries. How did they not see them? How did they pass the medicals? That is one thing you'd want to know. We may not have the detail of what goes on in these medicals, but we can't be signing injured players day after the other. It can't be happening like that. So Wan-Bissaka, a crucial player. If we are going to play a team like Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga, rather in the UEFA Champions League, we need our best players fit. Obviously, Aaron Wan-Bissaka is our better right back. Now, not to say that Diogo Dalot is not important, he's not good. He has proved to be an able deputy whenever he has come in, but you prefer to have Bissaka starting in that right back position. So it's a huge miss for us as we do return to the continent against Bayern on Wednesday, and we'll talk about that game in detail as we do focus on it. But for now, for me, the injury situation, because think about how many games we are going to struggle, because partly you think the reason why our transfer window seemed to be disorganized again, further disorganized, was because of the injury to Luke Shaw, and that we had to bring in a Regulon, a guy who was barely playing at Spurs, but unfortunately he looked good in the game he played for us. But you think about the whole injury situation and you think it's a mess for Erik ten Hag, and people might call for ten Hag's head now, because I've seen this happen already. I'm very disappointed that there are sections of United supporters who do not want ten Hag at United now, after him trying to clean a mess so huge, a mess so deep. You don't just think we can just get rid of him like that. I'm not in support of that. But I think you think about the team and the players we have, and you're worried. You're thinking, how is Ten Hag going to juggle with these players playing in Europe, but also locally? Because you need depth in your squad. But if almost 7 or 8 crucial players on your team are injured, how are you going to? I mean, how are you going to deal with the depth? You're going to be forced to use players who perhaps are not in our plans. Now, the advantage with that is that this situation will give a chance to players like Hannibal to also come out and show what they can do, like he did against Brighton, coming off the bench and scored the consolation for United. Maybe it can be a blessing in disguise, because even some of these players, when they are fit, you would ask yourself a question: what have they done? I think some of them have taken us for a ride. So yes, the injuries show one thing, that we obviously need to work on our medical team. I think, of course, we know that some of these players have played too much football, like Wan-Bissaka. Some of these players have played too much football. Luke Shaw plays every game when he's fit. So maybe their bodies are now reacting, and you would understand. But I think the medical team should be. That's why they are paid millions of pounds to figure out how to make it work, because these players have to keep fit and fresh. So for me, the whole situation with these injuries, I think it just explains why we needed to change the medical team. And then Hag is changing a lot of other things too. I told you about the feeding, how we changed the head chef, and the whole nutrition at the club is changing. The things that Arsene Wenger did when he joined Arsenal, bringing in certain nutrition uh, elements, certain details to what players eat and how they behave away from Old Trafford. It's so important if you're going to have control over these players and let them all push in the direction you want, because these days there are a lot of disruptions. So for me, I do commend him. But these injuries should be something we should be concerned about because of where we are headed. A point is going to reach when you are playing games week in, and you're playing on Wednesday or Tuesday in the Champions League, and on Saturday you have a game, an away game in the English Premier League. So it's going to be intense. It's going to be intense because remember we played at OT at Old Trafford on Saturday, and now we are going away to on Wednesday we are going away to Bayern. Yeah? So you can imagine it's going to be quite tight. So we need most of our players fit. We need depth in that squad, and unfortunately, more of them are going to the sick room, the injury room, which is a bit sad. But that said, there's positivity. Mason Mount, according to Eric Ten Hag in his pre-match comments, he said that Mason Mount and Rafael Varane are likely. They are better. They are improving. He did not confirm if they'll be available in the squad to face Bayern. Maybe they will, especially Mount. I think he could. If they don't, they might be available for our next game against should be Burnley in the English Premier League. So again, a bit of slow progress in terms of these injured players. Lisandro Martinez is fit. He wasn't substituted because of injury. It was a tactical substitution, so he will be there to face Bayern at least for now, unless anything happens between now and Wednesday. But at least for now, we know he will be there. So that's a bit, how we look. So in terms of injury news and updates, that's where we are. Wan-Bissaka is the latest to join the sick bay. So meaning Diogo Dalot will come in the right back, obviously. Then on the left, Sergio Reguilon, who looked good. And then central defense, Victor Lindelof, obviously probably alongside Lisandro Martinez, like they always play. Or you could be surprised, by the way, and Eric Ten Hag goes for Harry Maguire ahead of Victor Lindelof, or Maguire and Lindelof ahead of Lisandro Martinez. It's possible. Eric Ten Hag can do that at this point. You wouldn't be surprised, would you, if he did that? But the news of Wan-Bissaka and his injury, does it mean we lose a core player as we travel to Bayern? Because Bissaka, with his style on the right wing, keeps defenses a bit busy because of how he loves to go forward, and his interesting passes. He's a different kind of player. His style is a bit different. So you think he gives us a dimension that's important, and surely we will miss that. But Diogo Dalot has proved that whenever he has been trusted, he has performed both on the left and on the right. So I won't dwell so much on the injury of Wan-Bissaka. He has played too much football for us. But the issue is, why do these players fall sick one after the other? And how much are these injuries going to affect us when this season has just begun? It's our worst start to a Premier League season, 3 losses in 5 games. You're losing players, one player after the other. If one comes, another goes. How on earth are we going to cope with this situation? I'll be back as we do focus on Bayern in our next video. For now, this was just a breaking update concerning the injury situation at Manchester United. Wan-Bissaka is the latest, but we will look ahead to Bayern Munich because trust me, we can't deal with them. Don't you move it. Subscribe to the hotspot.